You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amba woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.
Mama yo, now your boy go get down. Blue Jay Brothers. Mama you kind, Mama you're beautiful, Mama you good, Mama you're wonderful. No woman like you, Mama. No woman like you, Mama. Thank God for you, Mama. Thank God for you, Mama. 'Cause you gave me life, oh Mama, queen of my life, oh Mama. I go love you for life, oh Mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh Mama. From small beginning, I never forget all the suffer when you suffer for me. Oh yeah, yeah. All the pain and the troubles where I put you through. I remember when money no be there and chop no be there for her. You be the try your best. You go run around to find us something where we go chop. When I dey sick, you know the sleep. You go dey cry all night. You go hold me tight, start to pray, say God make you help my baby. Oh Lord, ooh, I wo ye ye choma. Afunga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Ega na chinu ye ga choma. Mama, I wo ye ye choma. Afunga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Ega na chinu ye ga choma. Ye ga choma, mama. Ega na chinu ye ga choma. Chinu ye ga choma. Oh, you gave me life, oh Mama, queen of my life, oh Mama. I go love you for life, oh Mama, 'cause you love me so, oh Mama. You're my motivation. You gave me the best education, Mama. The song where I sing, I'm for you. Now it's special dedication to you. Oh yeah. I know say every night and day, you pray say make a, Mama. The God where you the pray, I'm for heaven. Don't give me this inspiration, Mama. The song where I sing, I'm for you. Now to show my appreciation to you. Who be a warrior, yeah, choma. I funga na bere, yeah, funga choma. I'm bombing na bere, yeah, bomb choma. Ega na chinum, yeah, ga choma. Mama, warrior, yeah, choma. I funga na bere, yeah, funga choma. I'm bombing na bere, yeah, bomb choma. Ega na chinum, yeah, ga choma. Chinum, yeah, ga choma. Chinum, yeah, ga choma. Chinum, yeah, ga choma. You gave me life, oh Mama, queen of my life, queen of my life. I will love you for life. I will love you, Mama, 'cause you love me so, oh Mama. You gave me life, Mama, queen of my life, Mama. I will love you for life, oh Mama, 'cause you love me so, oh Mama. Mama, selelele, ale 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 Mama. Oh, that's so. That's so. Mother's Day. That's so.
You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amba Woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Some Boy Records.
Welcome to me.
Na 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 na. Yeah.
Magical Hakeem on the beats.
Nakamediva na na na. Oh. Bongo mbozeo, boshe mbozeo, bange mbozeo. Tububu biri etando. Bongo mbozeo, boshe mbozeo, bameta mbozeo. Dance to this marina. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. There's a song in my heart that I want to sing it out to you. Why the fight and the pain and the hate you're inflicting on your brother? Lesson no to tribalism, nepotism. Lesson no to bad energy, and embrace some love. To the cloud, to the one, let us live in harmony. Bongo mbozeo, boshe mbozeo, bange mbozeo. Tububu biri etando. Bongo mbozeo, boshe mbozeo, bameta mbozeo. Dance to this marina. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Together we will make a better for the land and try to right the wrongs that were caused in the land. Lesson no to tribalism, nepotism. Lesson no to bad energy and embrace some love. To the cloud, to the wall, let us live in harmony. Love, 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 love is all we need.
Magical Hakeem on the beats.
Love, 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 love is all we need. Bongo mbozeo, boshe mbozeo, bange mbozeo. Tububu biri etando. Bongo mbozeo, boshe mbozeo, bameta mbozeo. Dance to this marina. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule. Jaule, jaule, jaule.
Some Boy Records.
Welcome to me.
Hello, greetings fellow Ambazonians. This is my Patience Abidu calling from the horizon. As you can tell, our host, Ma Rachel, is not with us today. Let me seize this opportunity to welcome you to the horizon, the voice of the Amba Woman. And with me today is Lady Casey. Lady Casey, welcome to the horizon.
Thank you so much, Mape, for having me today once again. Thanks, and I'm pleased to be part of the voice of the Amazonian women this evening.
Thank you so much. I want to use this opportunity to uh, greet everyone watching us or listening from the home front, from ground one, from all over the diaspora. Our theme on the horizon is always staying the course and fighting for the Amazonia we want. So, as your mothers in the struggle for independence recognition, as daughters, as sisters, we hope that you will join us every Friday to get connected with current events, to remember things that have happened in the past, to keep believing in the fact that you have the right to have a nation that you call yours, to keep believing in the fact that you cannot continue to be a second class citizen in La République du Cameroon. You should not be willing to stay as a special status citizen. You should not be willing to remain as a slave in another man's land. So we come every Friday to keep that connection going, to present to you hope when we can, to call the facts as they are, and basically to keep you connected. This is our TV, ABC Amba TV is a TV for the people, and we are grateful that you are there to listen to us as we deliver our messages to you every Friday. This month, the voice of the Amba woman, we've been talking about breast cancer awareness, the risk of breast cancer, how to test yourself, daily self-examinations to prevent breast cancer, because October is the month for breast cancer awareness. And sometime towards the end of this show, I will be highlighting a few things to end this session about breast cancer awareness. But for now, we will remember what happened in our homeland, Amazonia, 2 years ago. Lady Casey, I think we want to take the people back to the terrible event of October 24th, 2020. And maybe if our technician is ready, he can play the video of that horrible event so we can all remember why we think we should talk about it. And just to recap, this is the month of October, and that's why we are talking about that event. So if the technician is ready with that video, please kindly play it for our viewers and our listeners. But while that is going on, I think the technician may not be ready. I want to read something, Lady Casey, and then we can talk about it briefly.
Okay.
I want to read something that I wrote, and the motivation for writing what I wrote was because of October 21st, 2020. You may have seen what I wrote, and I think ABC had it on about a week ago. On the 20th, of course, on the same day, the 24th. This is what I wrote, and it has to do with what is happening in our struggle. And technician, whenever you're ready, you can play the video, and I will stop reading what I'm reading. Okay, fastest pathway to a peaceful negotiated settlement in 2023. And this title, Fastest Pathway to a Peaceful Negotiated Settlement in 2023, it's not because we know for sure that it will happen in 2023. It's what we think may happen if all these conditions that are listed happen. We also know that this is a God ordained revelation, that despite what I wrote, God can decide that this revelation will come to an end in December or next month, November, because He has the powers to do so. But as humans, we talk about things that we see based on the information that we know. So the first part had to do with a message to Mr. Ayuk Tabe, Miss Marianta Jomia, and Mr. Chris Anu. So I'm going to read that section, and then Lady Casey, I'll give you a moment to talk about it, just that section. I say, you are all products of the divide and conquer policy of La Republic, either consciously or unconsciously. If you care for the people of Amazonia and want the international community to recognize Amazonia in 2023, you should do the following. Apologize to Amazonians for the false information propagated about President Sako that led to the creation of 3 breakaway dysfunctional groups from the interim government. If your pride or ego is too big to do so, simply stop deceiving Amazonians that you are the president of a government. There is only one legit government, and the leader is Dr. Samuel Ikomi Sako, with the mandate of the majority of Amazonians, and you know that. Return to the interim government and support your local government and county, not just with words, but financially as well. If you are not able to do 1, 2, 3 above, take a sabbatical or break from the struggle. It's an honorable thing to do. So, Lady Casey, I'd like you to share your views on what I just read and add anything that you think is pertinent or something that you don't agree. Please share to our people.
Thank you, Mape. What you wrote it's a fact. We know from start how La Republique separated Foncha from Endeli, brought in Muna, Gengomjoa. We know the gymnastics they play. We've heard it several times. We've heard the story from even our fathers who were there, who were part of it. We also know how and when they started NCNC and how it was so divided, so many things happen. You end up having various NCNC groups. Um, this has been the trend in the Amazonian liberation struggle from the inception, since we realized the deception and the fraud by La Republique in Fumban. So these people are just the latest the names you listed are just the latest, individuals who have aligned themselves to the La Republique ploy to keep us slaves, to keep us as second-class citizen within La Republique. And Ambazonia realized long ago that we cannot thrive as a people with dignity and respect within the French confines. So you're writing such a very soft and very sweet, it was very sweetly put. If I was writing that, I'll certainly not be that sweet. Um, because these people have been within the interim government, from some of them from the days of Skakov to governing council to the present day interim government. They know what is necessary. They have they have they came in with the face of pursuing Amazonian liberation and freedom, but the pressure from La Republique and and with their own limitations in self and value could not they could not stay the course, they could not stay there to do what is of the best interest of the people of Ambazonia. So they have fallen apart or fallen away. But what I want to also mention, Mape, is that um, we've had this set of characters over time, and they keep manifesting themselves because uh, you wonder why initially they would sound like they understand the Amazonian issue. You understand like they stand for the total independence of Amazonia, but every aspect of their action, their utterance, their behavior, their character is against the liberation of Amazonia. And yet what they say doesn't match what they do. And so it's for our people to come to the understanding that these are all distractions, and you telling them that if they had that conscience, they will not have it. These are adults, and some of them, all of them are parents of children. They are raising children in young adults and children in this life, and sometimes I wonder what they teach, what values they're implanting into their children for the next generation, because they know what exactly they are doing. Their selfish desires and aims will not give them the ability to have the conscience or the integrity that requires somebody to realize I've made a mistake and want to correct it. And um like I mentioned I think in our last show, that these are the characteristics of people the last time I was on here that have kept
Mhm.
the African continent where it is, because of the people with such characteristics and behavior, that they they don't have any print they don't operate with any value or principles. They just go with the wind. As soon as they wake up feeling whatever they feel, they act accordingly without thinking of the consequences or impact or what they claim they stand for or have stood for. So such an appeal to people of those that caliber, it's a very noble thing to do, it's a very wonderful thing to do. But for them to have set out to such a cause, you know that the evil has consumed them way too much, because they are evil. And so they're only manifesting themselves, they're only coming into who they are, they're only showing us who they are. It's left to the rest of us to believe them and take them for who they are and deal with them accordingly. um the other option I would have added there is, if all of them that have formed or said, okay, President Samuel Sarkozy comment is the issue, they couldn't even unite for or work together for more than 5 months. That is just to tell you, that we had situation where there was ARC, there was there was all sort of group form against the leadership of
Yeah.
President Samuel Sako since he came to power. None of them have stayed together for more than 6 months, or none of them have done anything significant for the Amazonian liberation struggle more than or near what President Samuel Sako has done. So for me, it just shows is a character of the people, and it's a time for all those who truly believe in the Amazonian liberation struggle to unite behind the interim government, join your LGA and county, and make the difference that you say you believe. Because anything else we have seen over time has always come to nothing, has contributed zero to the liberation movement. In fact, they have created more destruction and distraction, and they have been used they have become unwitting agents for the enemy, for La Republique. They have done all the dirty work for La Republique. La Republique is chilling, watching some of these so-called Amazonians destroy and delay our struggle, but they will never succeed, because this time is a different set of people. So for this particular subject, I can go on and on, because there's so much dimensions to it, that if we want to really look at it and look at these people and what could be their various motivation, each individual have their various motivation that is nothing to do with the Amazonian liberation struggle.
Thank you so much, Lady Casey. I know you said something that if you were the one writing it, you would have not been as nice as I was. And I understand exactly what you mean by that. Um, And that's why I said that if these people really care about our people, because it's saying that if you care, because for the past 5, let's even say 4 years, we've had so many people killed. So many people are suffering. They're internally displaced. People that were living in the comfort of their own homes are now homeless. So if you care about these people at all, if you really care, that's the least you can do. And you're right. You said that these people had an agenda all along. Let's even think about them one by one. The former president, President Siseko, well, we don't even know what happened when they went to Nigeria for the Naira 10. That's a story for another day, and it's already been talked at length on ABC Amba TV. But we would think that he has a family, he has kids. Can he put himself in the place of all these other people that are suffering? If he had not created a government, the notion of creating another government in the revolution, in the struggle, would not have come about. He started this by creating a separate government. And even when he realized that he was wrong, that he made the mistake, because he finally realized that he was wrong, that the information that was being given to him by people outside about President Sako were all false messages relating to my trip to Boya and relating to SEBC, the television that we had before. So if he had really honest intentions about being our president, then he should have just said, okay, I made a mistake. I'm going to tell the people that I made a mistake. Let's all put our support under the president that is out there, President Sako, doing the work. He could have done that. But yet he came and still continues with his vice president, Yeremia, who is doing whatever he's doing on his behalf. We don't even know what they are doing. We know that. So sometimes we talk about them, and some people complain that we give them relevance. It's not our intention to give them relevance. It's our intention for our people to know the difference. That this person may be there claiming XYZ, but you should not put your allegiance under this person. You should not trust this person because they will not take you to where you intend to go to. That was the first mistake that he made. Then somebody like Chris Arnold, if you put everything in perspective, everything in context, from the beginning to now, you realize that this individual was really not somebody that was pro-independence. He was more a power monger. There's something in him that thought that he would have been the president and not President Sako, meaning that when Sissoko left, it would have been him. And by all means, if that would have been the case, I think would have been already with La Republique by now, because he would have just ruined this movement and it would have set us behind. Not that he has the power to do so, but because of the policies that would have been in place when he would have been the president, it would have set us behind. This is a God-ordained struggle. No one person can really spoil things for us, but they can set us behind. And that's why this write-up is saying that do X, Y, Z to make this journey shorter. And then our sister, I'll call her our sister Marianta. We were all close at one time. You, myself with her, in the interim government, in the women's department. What made her hate President Sako to the extent that even after all the false messages of him mismanaging funds or him doing XYZ where they don't still have a proof till date, she hasn't said, oh, I blundered, I was misled, I was misguided. Her association with the former vice president, Dr. Bongwa, has blinded her. Because after they left our government with following the coup plotting and all the like. And then Cometa, of course, is always behind all this. Cometa gave her 6 months. She should have questioned it. You know, if I'm supposed to be the president, give me 2 years to be able to do something effective, something that you can see. So you're giving me 6 months because there was nobody possible to take that position, or because Chris Ano wasn't as popular then to take the position. The goal all along was for Chris Ano to take that position. And Chris Ano somehow has a connection with Siseko and Kometa. The goal is just go around to give everything back to Siseko Ayutabe and to take also La Republic, because that's what they want. They want federation. They think that to shorten this thing, to have it come to an end, people will be able to appreciate some sort of federation instead of continuing in the suffering that they are. But they don't realize that we've gone past that. There's no way that people will settle for a federation. It's independence, recognition, and nothing else. So the reason that these three people have been really a thorn to this struggle cannot be undermined. And if they have any ounce of conscience, any sympathy for us suffering people, they can think twice and just do what I wrote in that little write-up. If the technician is ready with the video about the Kumba massacre, this will be a good time to put it on. If not, I'll read the second section that I wrote about the other person.
Yeah, Mape,
Go ahead.
before you read the next point, I just wanted to add something to what you said about these various individuals. Um, why, even when they realize that it is not the information that they based their initial decision on were false, they don't have the dignity, the integrity in them to come out and correct their mistakes, because their pursuit, like I said, the purpose for what they pursued of power, of position, it's nothing in relation to the best interest of the Amazonian liberation movement. It is far from it. And even if it wasn't that they are for Amazonia, we would have seen them doing something better. Because if
Yeah.
you look at the West, when they compete as a nation, they are competing on who has the strongest economy, who has the least unemployment, who has the strongest defense mechanisms and technologies. They compete with things that progress society, that add value and pride to their nation. If these people were saying and they were for the Amazonian liberation struggle, they would have come out, they would have formed all their cliques and connection and gangs and association of evil for the best interest of Amazonia, as I call the association of evildoers, for the best interest of Amazonia, and then we would have seen difference in maybe things that would have shown by example that, oh, this is how you raise funds better, this is how you
Yeah.
manage it better. They would have given us a new standard if they had any good intentions in them. But like I said earlier, that their motivation is far from the Amazonian liberation best interest. So they will carry on in their evil. They will carry on in their, in their schemes that has nothing, that is not serving the people. And what all of us should know is that, I'm not particularly bothered about their activities. Sometimes we have to say these things because our people have shown sometimes that they don't they confuse, because last time I was on air somebody called and said, oh, so who do we follow? And I was like, at this present stage in time, you don't know who the leader of the interim government is. You don't know the governmental structures and how we operate. And you watch ABC, national TV. When people deliberately choose to remain ignorant, it is necessary sometimes to remind our people that what you choose to feed on is going to help you in your decision making. And why I'm saying this is because if you watch ABC Amba TV, you will understand that La Republic does not have zero regard for any Amazonian. So you will not be at home front and be reckless about your life and about your day-to-day activities. You will be very cautious. You will understand that anything can happen to you at any time. So you would function in that consciousness. And in that consciousness means that you will take all the necessary precautions to preserve your life. Okay, that's the video um playing.
No,
There
not
we go.
yet. I think,
Okay.
yeah, keep on talking.
Yeah, so
I
like I
think
was saying
it's
that
good. Yeah.
if yeah, if you watch ABC and understand that that the life of Amazonians is nothing to La Republique. So they will do it. They don't care who they kill, who they destroy, which property. They've systematically kept the Southern Cameroonians broke in within the Francophone or within the La Republique administration. Before a Southern Cameroonian would thrive in that society, it's always self-made. They don't even give them the opportunities to
Okay.
thrive. Okay, here's the video. Can we get the sound?
Um, I think when the technician has it completely ready, we'll know. I think just trying to set it up for us.
Test it.
So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
you said something, Lady Casey. That you're right. That sometimes you get calls from people from the home front. Um, from the home front asking questions like, well, so who do we listen to? And those questions are very, they're very, they're disappointing because you think that by
Yep.
now people should know who the leader is. They should know exactly who to listen to, and I'm getting a call coming in. Let me see whether it's about the show. Are you calling to talk about the Amazonia? The voice of. Oh, sorry about that. um, so I think the people that ask those questions, and I get phone calls every now and then, also even text messages that you people should go ahead and unite. You're confusing us. We don't know who to listen to. So those things make you wonder that are they not really following the struggle? But
Yeah.
then we know that people like Chris, I know people like Sissoko, that they are giving messages to these people also out there. And all those messages are confusing. So that's why we have to keep on giving them the same message that you need to listen to one leader. You said something also that if these other individuals were doing something that would push us ahead, then that's a good thing. At this point, I can boldly say that if Chris Anno were to take me to Boya tomorrow, does something that shows that I will be in Boya tomorrow, I will be happy. But the point is that everything that he has done, everything that he does, is showing that he's taking us in the wrong direction. Same thing with Sissoko Ayutabe. So you cannot continue following people that, based on their actions, based on their activities, like our sons and daughters that have been killed under the guise of unity warriors. That is clearly schemes that are setting us behind. So we cannot continue to say that we don't know who is the leadership of this struggle. The government is the government of the people, led by President Sako. And you have all these other camps of people doing whatever they are doing. But the government is a government. And the government has a structure. It has LGAs, counties, it has cabinet, it has the House of Representatives, the interim House of Representatives, It has people at the presidency. You name it, the list at the ethics commission, the judiciary. That is the government. And things work in that for the purpose of making that we are a strong, cohesive unit to be able to fight La Republic one-on-one. Lady
Okay,
Casey?
if the technician is ready, you can go on with the video. Play the videos
But
while.
first, the Cameroonian community, shaken by the recent school shooting in Kumba, held a vigil on Tuesday for the 7 children lost in the attack. The pupils had been having catch-up classes on Saturday when gunmen burst in. The government's blamed Anglophone secessionist militants for the bloodshed. Our correspondents report.
The traces of blood are still visible on the floor and walls of this classroom in Kumba. Personal objects abandoned amidst the panic as children fled gunmen. Around 7 students aged 9 to 14 were killed in the massacre. Days later, the shocked community gathered in front of the school to offer songs and prayers for the victims. The violence shocked Cameroon and has left locals traumatized.
I am very angry since on Saturday. I have not eaten. I cannot sleep because of this war, this nonsense crisis, this ungodly war. We are suffering. Why can't we be killing our own selves, our own brothers and sisters? Why? Why should we kill our own children? Please. I beg. I just need my peace.
Over a dozen of children were wounded. Some are being treated in this hospital. This 13-year-old was shot through her stomach. Still terrified of her attackers, she wants to remain anonymous.
I was inside the class and I will see one person down with a gun before I want to bend down. They shoot all of us. Then I go on to come to school. I'm afraid.
Her mother prays by her bedside. So far, no one has claimed responsibility for the school shooting, though officials say armed English-speaking separatists who called for a school boycott are responsible.
It's very painful as a mother. It's very painful. I don't know. I just pray that God should take care of my daughter because it's the only one that I'm depending on. It's the only one that can heal my daughter.
An investigation is underway. Meanwhile, grieving parents struggle to move forward. Many had hoped to send their children back to school this year. Academic schedules have been severely disrupted since Cameroon's Anglophone crisis turned violent in 2017. However, the country's most vulnerable members appear to be paying the highest price for the ongoing conflict.
But first, the Cameroonian community...
Okay, my goodness. So, we just have to see things like this to remember. Prior to this struggle for independence, prior to the war that La Republique waged on us, things like this never happened in our land, in our territory. We never had school kids children being killed in that manner. And now we know a number of cases where shootings have taken place in secondary schools or in primary schools in our country. Listen to that mother, what she said. It's very painful. And when people just, sometimes to really feel the intents of certain things that happen, one has to just, for a moment, put yourself in the position of a mother, that your kids are in school, trying to get an education, which is a dream for every parent to have their kids have the best education. And then you hear that their lives were cut short by gunmen. And not just any gunmen. These are La Republique thugs killing our sons and daughters. And why do they think that they can do something like that? Because for them, we are inhuman. We are dogs and cats and roaches. We do not matter. They cannot do that to their own children. Have you ever heard of a situation where gunmen went to a school in La Republique and killed students? I haven't. but that is occurring in our area, in our territory frequently. So that 24th of October 2020, that was just a day that we cannot forget as Ambazonians. And when you think about federation, think about October 24th, 2020. When you think about special status, think about October 24th, 2020. There is no way, there's no reason for any Ambazonian, any Southern Cameroonians to settle for anything less than complete independence recognition for our people. I mean, that is just something that you cannot fathom, you cannot really understand, that lives of our children, our very, very innocent children, that is innocence in the midst of war, that should not be tolerated by anyone. Lady Casey?
Yeah. Thanks, Mape. The pictures, videos are horrible. Look at it is this is just to remind us. I've said earlier that La Republic have no regard, no respect. We as a people cannot live within La Republic confines with any form of dignity and respect. And they have shown us in countless and so many ways. And they have one of the ways I want us to see this is that they want to use the cry of the Amazonian woman, the tears of the Amazonian woman for their political gains this time around. And that's why they have put the women in front to express how they are feeling and is their pain. Um, they've killed children and killed women, and we've seen how they have treated our people over time. I mean, even before the start of this war, we know how our parents will struggle. Some of them till date have not got their pensions paid. We know how they made the things for the Southern Cameroonian very difficult to thrive within the La Republique administrative frameworks. And these are things that we have repeatedly articulated and many people over time. And now the murders and the massacres of our children, particularly 24th of October in Kumba 2020, is for us to know. This is just to remind us, like Mape said, when you think of federation, this is an example. There's over 40,000 people that have been killed, over 400 villages that have been burned down to ashes, and we have over 200,000 Southern Cameroonians as refugees. That's only in Nigeria, over 200,000 only in Nigeria. I've not even counted those in Ghana, in South Africa, and other parts of the world. So there is no thinking of federation or any of those things are pointless at this time. And looking at these videos and images that have just gone through our screen is to remind us that our our children, our brothers and sisters that are carrying the guns is because the system of La Republique did not give them the opportunities that is supposed to give them. It's not because of our instructions or guidance from the diaspora. And if it is because of our instruction, they are only listening to us because they want to fight. They are fighting for the hope of freedom for themselves, their family, and the next generation of Amazonia. So it's for us to understand that La Republic would want to put our mothers and killing the children in this pain so they can use it as an excuse to say they want peace. And they've killed our people, our children anyhow. They've killed Amazonians without any remorse. And any person of Southern Cameroon origin will remember these incidents and the several incidents that have happened across Amazonia and still say that one thing, you're definitely heartless. Because there is no excuse, I always say, not to participate in the liberation movement. I always say there's no reason under this earth, under the sun, to justify the lackluster attitude towards the liberation of Amazonia. And fellow Ambazonians who are watching and sympathizers and anybody who have stumbled over our video or our program today, the people of Amazonia will not, I mean, um, settle for anything less than the independence of our territory and our people and the liberation of our people. And that fight that began in 2017, that escalated because the fight have started long time ago. It only escalated in 2017. Is at a stage of no return until total liberation and freedom. And so, fellow Amazonians, let's buckle up. Let this remind you, let this give you a fresh inspiration and conviction and a fresh reason for commitment to the cause of Amazonian liberation. Thanks, Mappy.
Well said, Lady Casey. Well said. Uh, you are right that those who are in the home front defending our territory are doing so because they believe in the cause. There's no way that I could influence somebody in the home front to pick up a weapon if they didn't believe in that themselves, because it's a life and death situation.
Yeah.
So it's something that they believe in. They know that their lives will not matter if they don't fight for it. In fact, the chances of them
Absolutely.
being killed are so great that they really need to be able to be in the position to defend themselves. Remember, at one time, we know that La Republic's agenda was to kill all our sons 12 years and older. And they've gone about it for this past 5 years. We have a lot of kids that have just disappeared. We have mothers that do not know where their sons are. They're just hopeful that maybe one day the son will show up. But we know the chances of that happening are so remote. So a year ago, October 14th, there was also another incident. Baby Carolus, who was going to school, and we remember how a La Republic thug in uniform shot the baby behind the seat, behind where the child was in the back of the mother's car, and he shot the head of the child. We all remember that vividly, how we were all broken, how we all cried, how we all cried about that. If our technician can play them, put them on the screen one by one, so we can remember, especially that video. Ah, my goodness.
Thank
Okay,
you.
it's painful to watch, and we don't want to bring this pain back to our mothers back home. And if we did that and we have caused pain to any of them, we apologize. To all the relatives of baby Carolus, we apologize. The only reason we are doing this is to reawaken our people to realize that this child should not, her life should not go in vain. She is a symbol of what our fight for independence is all about. You could see how grandmama, removed her clothing and was stark naked, seeing her grandchild killed like that. I think any mother will be moved to do something like that. Because it just makes you crazy. It just makes you crazy. You know, I had an incident, and I may have mentioned this once before, and it's by no means correlates to what these mothers that have lost kids have gone through. But it gives me a bit of the feeling what I may go through if something like that were to happen to me. I went out one day with my daughter. At that time, I think she was probably 7 years old. And I have had this habit of exercising every morning. So I took her with me, but because I am a little bit faster walker, I walked in a distance faster than her. And I looked behind, she was nowhere to be found. She had just disappeared from the street. I panicked. I ran down the street and up the street, and I could not find her. In that moment, I thought somebody may have just snatched her and she was gone. My mouth was dry. I could not even speak. Somebody was passing by and I was trying to explain to the person what happened. I could not talk. So that moment, I felt that my child had died. But lo and behold, she had walked in another direction, and I took another street and I caught up with her in another direction. What a relief. I bring this story that for those of us that have not really witnessed the death of a child in that type of atrocious manner, painful manner, it can take a toll on you. It's something that you never want to happen to you. But it has happened to many of our mothers. All those kids that have died, and we're just using this example today, this month, about October 24th and October 14th, October 24th of 2020, or October 14th of 2021, to make people remember that those are children of mothers. They did just not just appear on this earth. They belong to families. Your family, my family. They are sisters. They have sisters. They have brothers. They have aunts and grandmothers who miss them dearly. And why should we go through something like that? In our lifetime, before 2016, 2017, nothing like that happened before. Should we just be complacent and let it happen every day and not fight? Not say enough is enough? Should this just be the norm that we accept? It shouldn't be. It's not normal for people to get killed every day, every day, every day, and we just let it be. That's the mama I'm talking about. She's stark naked. I can see myself doing that also. So this is to tell those at home front that we realize that you may be tired and asking when will this all end, and may even get to the point that you want to give up and say maybe I'm better off being a second-class citizen. Is that really what you want? After all this, so many people have died. Do you want to settle to be something where in the future your great-grandchildren have no future really? Because they will not have any future. As long as we remember part of La Republique, it will always be bleak for every Southern Cameroonian. You will not go up the chain to be anybody, because there will always be that French Cameroonian who will always be superior to you. You may have all the knowledge. You may have all the training. You may be the tough academician in the subject, but there will always be that French Cameroonian or Francophone who will be put as your superior. Always. And that's even besides the point. We deserve our own land. We deserve our own land. Why was it that French La République can be an independent country in the first place and we couldn't be one? So with that in mind, we deserve it. Just go and just believe that we deserve our own land. To be the God-fearing people that we are, to be the honest people, because by nature, we Southern Cameroonians and Amazonians, we are very hardworking, we're very enterprising, we're very respectful of one another. We had the best institutions before. We don't even want to go there. We're just telling ourselves to remember that these two massacres on these two different days that happened in our history cannot be blotted. We have to always remember and keep fighting till we get to Boya. Lady Casey.
Yeah, thanks, Mappy. Yeah, like you said, um, we need to understand in home front that things like this happened because La Republic believe that if they kill us enough, they torture us enough, they put us in a place of suffering and penury, they will force us to accept any state, any handouts, anything they give to us. And that's when we have told them this is a never again generation and we are prepared for the necessary sacrifice for our independence and liberation. And that's why they're surprised. You know, if we recall clearly when the teachers and lawyers started on the civil disobedience and all the strikes, and what was their response from La Republic officials? The dogs, when they are hungry, they will go back to work. Um, they have no regard, they did not care. Up till today, as we speak, what the teachers and lawyers were requesting have not been granted and have not been done. And is any normal Southern Cameroonian in their right mind think French Cameroon have any interest to solve any of your issue, to heed to any of your requests, especially to those say they are fighting for federation? It's outrageous. It's so outrageous because till date, the what the teachers and lawyers were asking for has not been. Let's remove the federation out of it because it was even added after. Let's the initial 13, I think 14 points from the teacher and 13 points from the lawyers that they requested has not, none of it has been granted. And if anybody think that Amazonians are extreme, we are right on our path and we are doing exactly what we should be doing because La Republic have shown up till now that they have no interests in empowering our people within the La Republic confines. So independence is the only thing we are talking about. And if they've used their thugs as and in the form of military and army and killing our people and meting so much evil and atrocity on the on our people to succumb, it's just basically what the slave masters were doing during slave trade. They would hang you, kill you, tie you to chair, cut your limbs, just a really barbaric stuff to put them to submission, so they don't have a voice, they don't have a mouth to speak. And if anyone till now still think there is any other way besides Amazonia freedom, then that's your choice. Just stay away from us and let us fight for our liberation, for our future, for our children, and for the future of Amazonia. And one more thing I would like to add into the situation where, it's particularly what happened in 2021, 14th of October, where this mother was driving her kid to school. And, this is this is something where every Southern Cameroonian, and why I like to use the word Southern Cameroon, because I don't believe every Southern Cameroonian is an Ambazonian, because it takes a
Right.
different mindset to be an Ambazonian. Ambazonian is you are already free. You are just fighting to free the territory. You are not still caught up in the La Republique narrative. So when I say Southern Cameroonian is for specific people who have not been mentally or psychologically been liberated from the Francophone or the La Republique system. So any Southern Cameroonians who look at an incident like that and don't understand where they are. And this is why I always try to tell people at home front, people at home front who is of Southern Cameroonian origin, whether you live as a refugee in La Republique or you are internally displaced within the Amazonian territory or you manage to live your life within Amazonia, so long as you are in Amazonia or in La Republique, you cannot function without the consciousness of that you're an Amazonian. It's like being black in the West. You cannot ignore that fact. It will face you somehow, somewhere. So the the Southern Cameroonians, that's why you need to live with that. When they say no school, it's not, La Republic is trying to put it that because we have said ghost town, no school, lockdown, they will want to kill as many people to blame the restoration fighters. Meanwhile, the restoration have said no school and they have left you people understand, believing that you understand the circumstances and you understand the times. So when things like this happened, and we know La Republic wants to put inflict pain on our people, we should take all the necessary precaution and live with that consciousness, because there are a lot of deaths that has happened within the Amazonian territory that if you, the individuals, we're living within this consciousness, will not have find ourselves in our ways. But we know La Republic is out to steal, kill, and destroy anything Amazonia. And that's why we are always asking you to draft, especially those in the diaspora, to join your LGA. Also asking you to respect ghost towns. Also asking everybody to participate in any shape or form within this liberation movement until La Republique we pack out of our territory. We will not back down. The pain is too much, the suffering may be too much, but it doesn't mean that when it stops, it's going to get better. So when you are weighing it, you want to be very realistic. What have we been enjoying in particular? That is, is too much. So we all have to come together and fight for our freedom and fight for the liberation of Amazonia. And and that's the reason why we cannot get caught up in the argument of who do we listen to. Absolutely not the time. It's a time for everybody to participate in your LGA. If you're home front, you can still be part of your LGA and be an informant. You can even be a message carrier. There are so many roles you can play within the home front as part of your LGA. If you are in the diaspora, you be in your LGA and participate in all the activities of LGA to ensure that we will start liberating Amazonia LGA by LGA. And so this is the thing that when we watch videos like this, when we bring this to your attention and to your remembrance, is to know that these lives cannot go in vain. These lives that have been lost for the during the course of this war and even before, because we know that La Republic has been killing Amazonians, anybody who speak against and for, and have driven a lot of people um on exile because they stand for the Amazonian liberation. We cannot leave all those sacrifices and efforts in vain and be arguing over unnecessary things. We now have to come on board, revitalize, re strategize, and keep our heads focused on the goal, and that is total liberation of Amazonia. And no matter what is happening or what is not happening, when we are focused on liberating Amazonia, there's a lot of things we will pass over that will not be will not take our attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lady Casey. You know, you were talking and you mentioned something about the teachers and lawyers that, as a matter of fact, what the teachers and lawyers were complaining about has not even been remedied. And so I have this document that in front of me that when you said that, I said, okay, let me just bring this up. I don't know if you've seen the Major National Dialogue, the recommended framework for special status. But there are some things that I want to highlight, and I'm sure you will have a lot to talk about what I have to mention right now. And this is based on the Grand National Dialogue, which was La Republique's original method to solve this problem. Some people that you have rightfully called Southern Cameroonians, because not everybody that is Southern Cameroonian is an Ambazonian. Some people went and sat together to come up with special recommendations based on this Grand National Dialogue. And I'm going to read a little section, and then I'm going to highlight the 10 points that they mention, that they talk. and also even read out the names of those who were the ones that came together to put about this document. It says, following the Major National Dialogue, a group of Cameroonians from the two regions, when they talk about two regions, they talk about what they call Northwest and Southwest, came together to proactively come up with a blueprint for this proposed special status. The recognition of the political, economic, and cultural specificities of the English-speaking parts of Cameroon, and a reflection of this in the lives of citizens of the Northwest and Southwest regions, continue to underlie the ongoing crisis in the two regions. There have been multiple and unsuccessful efforts over the last 3 decades. The All-Anglophone Conference, the Anglophone General Conference, etc., to focus government and national attention on the issues and the complaints of marginalization and economic abandon. Inaction ultimately resulted in the crisis that has the two regions in the grip of violence and economic stagnation. So, point of correction, yes, if La Republique had reacted, if the government had reacted differently to the demands made by the lawyers and teachers and other civil societies to improve the legal system and the educational system and businesses in general, then yeah, you're right, things would have been different. But the fact that there was a war waged on our people, where there have been killing of our people, because you have people that live in our areas that are not Southern Cameroonians, that are like from Bamileke land and all the like. You don't hear them being killed. So they are targeting only our own people. Are they telling us that those people are also not complaining about the problems? But I digressed. The Major National Dialogue is the government's first major attempt to engage in discussions that seek to bring peace and a return to economic activity in the area. The most important recommendations coming out of the MND, or Major National Dialogue, in this regard is to effectively legislate a solution that recognizes the spatial status of the two regions. This will be done in the basis of the constitutional provision that allows the state to illegally recognize the specificities of any part of the national territory. It may be important to point out that the notion of spatial status is not specific to Cameroon or new to constitutional law. The experiences of Quebec in Canada, Hong Kong in China, and Northern Ireland in the United Kingdom provide lessons that could be drawn upon in designing a similar constitutional arrangement for Cameroon. So they are justifying this because it has been successful in other countries. Then it further says that Article 56 of the Constitution states that the state shall transfer to regions under conditions laid down by law jurisdiction in areas necessary for their economic, social, health, educational, cultural, and sports development, etc. What I want to say before I even get to the points 1 to 10 points that they came up with is that, what they could have even done to even appease the people a little bit would have said that, let's just go back to the federation that we had before. If instead of the Grand National Dialogue, they didn't use the word special status, they would say that, okay, let's go back to the federation that we had, where we're supposed to be equal parties. I'm not saying that I support federation. I'm saying that they are so stupid that they couldn't even think far to say that let's do that. Because if they were proactive and push the federation on us, maybe we would have not been able to, people would have just succumbed to it. But those of us that are true Amazonians would have kept on fighting. But they decided that we should be special status. And the things that they have for the special status are the following things. The regional House of Assembly, just for a region. So the House of Assembly will be the legislative body of the special status region, deriving its powers directly from the people. It shall be comprised of representatives from counties, divisions within the northwest and southern. And all these are things, divisions that they have created. La Republic has been so smart since from the days of Ahijo. Breaking us into bits and bits and bits. And whenever you're divided, there's chance of confusion. When you divide people, you can rule them more, because now they are all based on their own areas to fight for their own areas. Everybody is fighting for their own area. And then you are there king of all, reigning over everybody. Then they mention the House of Chiefs as one part they want to fix. Then they mention elected governor. The elected president of the regional council will serve as governor. He or she shall be regional chief executive. He or she shall be assisted by lieutenant governor, who shall always be elected. Each region will have an elected governor and a lieutenant governor. So what are they saying? Are they saying that this will be Southern Cameroonians that will hold those positions? Because remember, for a long time, most of our so-called governors have come from La Republique. And then they mentioned about the judicial system, but as one point that they want to correct. And then they mentioned about revenue sharing. Lady Casey, this is such an intense document that maybe on another day we'll go on the horizon and talk about it. But the point I'm making here right now is that this is a time that we as Amazonians are crying for our children that have been murdered. We remember those particular incidents because they happened in October. And yet, La Republique is thinking that they can solve this problem still with the special dialogue, and then of course the fake conference that they recently had in Canada that has nothing to offer, because we know that the right people were not the ones in charge of this. I don't know if you have said anything to say, but when I go through all this, there's no mention about education. Remember, our kids are dying because they went to school to be educated. They are getting the wrong education. They are not being trained by our own English-speaking teachers that know how to communicate to them in the English language. They are being trained by people that do not know how to communicate with them. How do you learn if the person that's trying to give you that knowledge cannot communicate to you in the language that you understand? How do you learn? You continue be moving ahead, promoted to the next level with under information, and you get to a position that you cannot compete. You cannot compete because you've not learned the skills. You've not been trained to be the best that you can. And no fault of yours, it's happening because as far as La Republique is concerned, they are not important.
Yeah, and
Go ahead,
Mappy,
Lady
let me just add something to everything. First of all, the Canada meeting was the special Grand Dialogue 2.0. So it was just in a different location, but still by the same actors and the same agenda and the same purpose, just to thwart the Amazonian liberation course. So, and everybody involved know this, and anybody who call themselves an Amazonian because of their wickedness and um pride or search for to be seen or to have information to deceive their followers that they are also important, being invited to a meeting organized by French Cameroon, or they are also connected. We have a society where people think when you're connected to any form of authority or power, you're important or you know what you're doing. So because they can deceive their kind, and with such participating in something have no of no good to the Amazonian freedom quest, um they can use that as to deceive their people. So, but that's besides the point. The point for all Amazonians to note, especially this evening as we are preparing, we have not too long to go, is for us to, like Mape said, it's for us to remember. We are only remembering these ones because they happen in October, and this is almost the end of October, and we are um bringing to our consciences that this month we celebrated our Independence Day on the 1st of October. And we saw that our restoration forces are high in spirit and well equipped, and La Republic was shocked. So they have to rush and organize a distraction in Canada for us to be distracted from our focus, our liberation movement, for us to continue drafting and financing our restoration fighters because they have all their weaponry and the needs or the granules for it. So this type of things, we have given the Canada whatever meeting enough attention, and La Republic Games, that we try to remind our people of these things so that we don't get distracted and we don't get confused. We know that the schemes of La Republic have not changed, they are still doing the same thing. And Mape said something that they have, all the things they have said they will do and the one they have not done is because they have zero regard. Like I said, if when I said La Republic have zero regard or can never treat an Amazonian or Southern Cameroonian with any respect and dignity, I can talk on that for 2 months every day, and I will not be able to finish articulating the different ways they have shown that they have no regard, no respect. They don't see Southern Cameroonian or Amazonian as humans. Um, they don't even treat us as second class citizens, or even worse than that. I can expatiate on that. And some of the things we have talked about today is how they have shown our people and shown us that we mean nothing to them. And so for anybody is to you to prepare your mind, because you cannot live oblivion of the reality of your circumstances. And this is one of the things, because I engage on a vast range of people at home front on one-to-one basis. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of people are oblivious about the reality, or they think it's some kind of a joke. It is not. It's not even a playful matter. People, they are killing people recklessly, with reckless abandon. And the Republic feel and think that they are, because they have sponsors, like they have people sponsors like France, and the silence of some of the power that be within the international community thinks they have the right to disregard our desires, our requests as a people. But now we have come to this point where we are standing for ourselves, and that is where what is most important for us to know, that we would stand for ourselves, and we would put forward our best foot every time for Ambazonia best interest. Because if you do anything within our I'll just take us a bit forward. If we take any action, we look at any incident, and before you involve yourself in it, before you participate in any meeting, how does this serve Ambazonia? If you ask yourself that question, how does this serve the Amazonian movement? How does it serve the liberation course of Amazonia? If you ask yourself that question, there's so many things that you know get involved. But because we have come to know that these people are self-interest, they are pursuing their personal interest and there are things that will give them that personal aggrandizement. They don't care the impact on the Amazonian cause. So that's why we must, those who are true patriots of the Amazonian liberation struggle, we must do all within our capacity to guard our freedom cause, because these evil actors are always going to be there. But what we do with their presence is what is most important. What we do, how we relate and deal with them is also is what is necessary for our liberation. So fellow Amazonians, it is very important that you participate in your LGA and in your county, because it's functioning. I mean, we are not hearing any chaos. All the bad eggs and the chaotic sets have left the interim government, is now standing gallant and everything is moving accordingly. Not necessarily perfectly, but it's moving accordingly for our liberation. And the president is more focused, full of wisdom and knowledge, and has had enough experience of how to continuously put La Republic on their toes, and they will be organizing fake meetings here and there. And this is not even the one in Canada, is not even the last one. Many more will be coming up, and they'll be trying to divide Amazonians some more and create more chaos. But like I said, for all of you who have left the interim government or form fringe groups around, come together and do something significant on home front for the liberation of Amazonia. It doesn't care how you, it doesn't matter how you do it, but instead of staying there saying this person is not doing right, this person is not doing right, you do better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lady Casey. I think we're going to be ending soon. I just saw the time, but
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
just say a couple of things that I think it's important, and then you probably will opine on what I have to say. You know, I have learned a lot during this our quest for independence recognition, and there's something that I just want to mention, and people can go take a look and read more about it. That there are really three tracks of diplomacy, three tracks of trying to solve problems, where you have different levels. So you have the track three, which is just the people coming together to have conferences to talk about things that are important to them. One could even say that this Canadian thing was a track three type of diplomacy. The sad thing is that it was a track three diplomacy that doesn't really involve the people that matter. If you have a track three conference where you have people that have no inkling, that do not believe in independence, they are meeting to talk about things that will affect people, then it doesn't go, it doesn't yield the fruits of what any conference should yield. And that's why this will end up being a flop, like most of them have in the past. And then but I just want to say that I'm not going to even spend too much time talking about. I'm going to say that track one is what will involve our president eventually. There will come a time where this track one, which is the most important and involves high level people, where the president and some key people of the government will meet with key people of La Republic, and that will happen as we get into negotiations. And when that happens, it's not going to be a social media activity. It's not going to be something that we will know about. It's going to happen, and then we're going to find out the results. But the United States is watching what is happening. They are not silent. When they made that effort to have a resolution on our matter, that resolution 684, it was not just a waste of time. It's not just politics. People took the initiative to sponsor that resolution. And I really believe that because of that step, which we also understand now that TPS has been granted, temporal protective status for our people, all shows that there's something wrong in that part of the country, part of the world. in southern Cameroons, Amazonia, and La Republique. There's a problem there. So there will come a time to fix that problem once and for all. And and
Yes.
and before we conclude, yeah, go ahead. You want to say something?
No, carry on.
Okay. Before we conclude, which I think we should end, I wanted to say something about medications and all the like, but let me just mention the other part of what I was reading because I think I still like you to talk about it. I'll mention them. There was a part of my message to Mr. Bo Herbert and to Mr. Akwanga that I said, just join the winning team that is taking us to Boya, the interim government. If you do, the international community will not use the excuse that we are divided, and the Republic will not come, will not claim that they do not know whom to speak with. Support your LGA and county, which you just mentioned. When we get to Boya, you can create your political parties. Ambazonian shall be a stable democracy that welcomes pluralism and diversity. And then, of course, there was a message to Cho Ayaba, someone whom we all believe know from the get-go that gives the semblance to the international community that he's the leader of the Amazonia struggle, but is doing terrorist activities back home. You are causing a lot of pain on our already embattled people and also tarnishing the reputation of a legitimate struggle by organizing kidnapping for ransom. Stop this terrorist act immediately. Take a sabbatical from the struggle because you really don't have anything to offer but pain to our people. Your actions in home front through the ADF AGOFC disunity, the Unity Palace warriors, testifies that you are in bed with La Republic. That has led to the demise of many of our brave children. Just want to add these other two people so that we don't see that we're only focusing on those who were part of the interim government. And finally, to a message to the ARFs and our pro-independence fighters, stay focused on one enemy, La Republic. Don't kill your fellow ARF. Don't trust ADF or disunity warriors who are working with La Republic and Ayabacho. So they just have to use their intuition. If you want to see Boya soon, continue to work with your LGA county and listen to the Commander-in-Chief, President Sako. He has never failed you. Like he said in his recent address at the successful FACO draft, do not be deceived by the $100 callers who wants you to become their slave and ask you to make videos. Remember, soldiers, gunmen without a government are considered terrorists. And then for Amazonians worldwide, there is only one interim government, and it is the people's interim government. There's only one president, and it's Dr. Samuel Ekomisako. Let's make this vision to make 2023 a year to celebrate in Boya. I'll have you give your take on that as we round up.
Okay, yeah. What I'm rounding up is fellow Amazonians. You wrote your this kind of appeal to these various group leaders and of Amazonian independence struggle within the Amazonian independence struggle, and there have been several incidents and circumstances within our struggle. I would use the example of the Swiss mediation. And we remember when it first came to social media, we first came to the public knowledge. Meanwhile, oh, President Sako have suffered. When he first came to public knowledge, we saw the reaction and attitude of some of the names you mentioned. I know Ambazonian claim to forget too soon, but I know they remember the attitude of some of them. And when they opposed it, they even claimed there was an American deal. They claimed there was some professor I mean, they claimed other mediation that was existing. They even claimed there was a Canadian one at the time. There was a Spanish professor in the Basque area. They claimed they had some. I mean, every sort of thing came up. Um, Today we don't know the head and tail where that ended, and Amazonians are not asking these people these questions. Where are all the other mediators you said you had, or the other negotiators you said you had? Are we still the Swiss we are hearing La Republic is pulling? out from not from any other thing. So I say that to say this, that this is one of the incidents that has happened for us to know one who has been leading the liberation movement to this current state with the best interest of the Amazonian, that's President Samuel Sarko Ikome. Please are not I'm making an argument with anybody on that. The facts and the events are there to prove that. Um, this appeal to these people, for me, it's not that they don't know what they are doing or they are getting carried away. The entitlement and pride to some people is that some of them have even mentioned, oh, because they started self-defense, like some of them will say, uh, they should everybody feel like they are uh the ones that are supposed to be in as a Amazonian interim president. They even tried to form ARC. All these names you just called right now, they were all part of ARC. And we know where that ended. It ended in
Yeah.
two communique or two press releases, and that was it. So like I mentioned, that if these people from onset had any um best interest for the Amazonian liberation movement, they will be showing us how to do it better. They will not
Yeah.
be criticizing. They will not be doing all the atrocities like some of them you mentioned, doing kidnappings and setting up fighters for La Republic to kill them. We know, I mean, the stories are long. We cannot go into all of that. So I'll just round up with this point because I'm already over our planned time. I'll just round up with the point to tell Amazonians is that ask yourself, for those actively participating, ask yourself, is this action of mine contributing to the Amazonian liberation struggle? And is whose best interest in what I'm doing, in any action or thing that I'm doing? If you have any conscience or any dignity or principle in you, and sometimes seek understanding, because at this current time, ignorance is not much of an excuse. And for those watching on the sideline and taking all that should be taking all the necessary precaution as you live through this war. Don't The mixed messages will come. It's the age of social media. Anybody can create a platform and say whatever. Anybody can stand on any podium. Podiums these days are cheap. It's not special like before where you need to be given the chance to be on the podium. Anybody can create a podium and come on and talk anyhow. But you need to also realize how relevant is what they are saying to the cause of Amazonian liberation movement. How does it protect my interest? How does it bring hope? How does it inspire me? And when you ask yourself all these questions, then you will relate properly with information. And growing maturity in this day and age is to be able to receive all the information and select what is relevant for your destiny and your future of your children. Thank you, Mavi.
Absolutely, absolutely, Lady Casey. That's a good way to end the show. I was going to just mention briefly that the flyer that went out also mentioned that in recognition of breast cancer awareness, we're going to talk about. It said treatment. It was really supposed to be prevention, because treatment of breast cancer has to do with chemotherapy, and it's really not something that we even have the means to talk about. So I was really going to briefly mention that there are some medications out there that are used already to prevent breast cancer. And the way that doctors decide who could be a candidate for this medication is based on the doctor assessing the risk and benefit ratio. The risk also has to do with patient's age, the time of menstruation, their reproductive cycle, family history, meaning that direct relatives that have had breast cancer, that is a family history that matters, and also other factors. So based on all this, the doctors can put women on any medications that are available. We know of tamoxifen, which is the oldest of all of them, and I believe we have that in our territory in Amazonia. I'm not too versed with the medications that we have there, but tamoxifen has been around for a long time, and I'm 100% certain that it will be something that we have in our area. There's also that is used for women that are premenopausal and postmenopausal based on their risk. So these medications basically used to help prevent breast cancer risk. Taking it for about 5 years may reduce the risk of breast cancer for up to 8 to 10 years, depending on the medication. And then there's also ralofen, raloxifene, and I'm not also sure if it's in Southern Cabo's Amazonia. And these are medications in a different class from tamoxifen. There are other newer drugs. We have arimidex and also aromacin. The chemical name, the names that may be in Amazonia may be the anastrozole, which is the generic for arimidex, and there's also exemestane, which is generic for aromacin. So I just want to end this breast cancer awareness month by saying that when we talked the past couple of times, we mentioned about risk factors and what women should do to check themselves monthly. We never really mentioned about treatment, but treatment is more a preventive treatment where there are really medications. And if you think that you may be a candidate that may need medication, if you talk to your doctor, the doctor will do a risk assessment. They have tools out there to find out whether somebody's chances of getting breast cancer are high or not. And based on those risk assessment done tools that they use, your doctor can decide if to give you medication. So we'll end the show by thanking everyone for joining us today. I think our technician wants to put this out one more time. So maybe we can see this final video that shows how to do a breast examination, and we'll end the show. Thank you, technician. That was very good thinking of you. If you want to put on the video on.
It's comfortable. You can never remove it. Early detection will... I was first diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 21 in 2001. And then it came back again in 2006. I'm Balima Pumolo, and I'm a breast cancer survivor. Breast cancer and early detection is more like land invasion. If you leave it there for too long and it gets comfortable, you can never remove it. Early detection will save your life. I'm still here, I'm breathing, I'm living because of that. I'm going to show you how I do my breast self-examination, which I do once every month. I have a doctor here who's going to be helping me out through everything. Step number 1, check yourself out in the mirror.
And we're just here looking for any changes, any differences between our breasts from what we can physically see. Then we can lift our arms up. And here we're just doing it slowly so that we can see the range of motion and see how our breasts move. We're just looking for any orange peel skin or any denting of the skin. And we can just lean forward. And there we're just looking to see if there's any skin pulling. Lastly, make sure that we do a thorough inspection of our nipples. We're looking for any scabbing, if there's a rash around it, if there's redness, any itching. The next part of the whole self-breast examination is when we have a feel. And that's also just as important as looking. So what we're going to do is we're going to use our 3 fingers.
Yes.
And we're going to keep our hand on our hip. Okay, so it's all loose and soft in there. All the way up to your collarbone, and we're going to do soft and light.
And just feeling for any lumps.
And we're going to go around, and you can just do it in circular motions.
I feel nothing. Yay!
And then all the way up into the armpit. We're going to go around the whole boob again, and then obviously to the nipple. If you have implants, I mean, that's already an invasive procedure that you've been for. So if something's wrong with it, either way, you have to get it checked out. And then we can swap and do the other side. Start at the shoulder and come down around. Light touches and then deep, and then light and then deep, yes.
It feels kind of funny touching yourself,
yes.
But it's something that's necessary,
Needs to be
isn't
done.
it?
You need to know you.
I think the more you do it every month, the more you're going to know what's your normal and what's not your normal.
that concludes our examination. And how did your symptoms first come up?
In my case, it was itching.
Okay.
And then when I would breathe in, like I would feel pain when I'm breathing in.
Okay, so I think you're the perfect example that not all cancer is a lump.
Anything that is abnormal for you needs to be attended to. If any of the symptoms appear, it doesn't mean you have cancer, but still you should seek medical attention. Insist on an ultrasound or a mammogram. It's your right. You need to know you're normal, self-check every month, and you can save your life. Hashtag clear the stigma.
You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amba woman, exclusively on ABC Amba TV.